Welcome to the You Are More podcast. I'm Blaine Ledbetter.
And I'm Lakin Stewart. If you're looking for an authentic community that shares the truth of the gospel and the truth about life, you've come to the right place.
We believe that you are more. You're more than motherhood, more than your ministry, and more than your career. Grab a cup of coffee and listen in to hear the truth about what it means to find your identity in Christ through every season of life.
Welcome to the You Are More podcast.
Hey friends, welcome back to You Are More podcast. We hope you guys had the best Easter weekend. We're recording this before Easter, but hopefully everything went well. If you are in ministry, hopefully everything went great, off without a hitch. So we are back to our regularly scheduled programming, and today we want to talk because we've gotten a few requests about this, I think.
Yeah, I think we have.
But just making friends as an adult.
So
And
weird.
so, it truly. So what would you say? I'm trying to think back years and years and years ago, but how would you say you typically non-adult would make friends? So even up until the season that you're in, how would you go about making friends?
I think, naturally it's going to be easier when you're younger because you're in school surrounded by peers that are the same age as you and in the same season of life and doing the same things. Like generally, my friends were in the activities I was involved in with school.
Yeah.
So whether that was volleyball or theater or whatever, in the same class as me, even as in high school, I remember having certain friends in certain classes and we really only talked in those classes and wouldn't really talk outside of those classes. And same with sports I played and some of the theater things I did. But in terms of true, meaningful friendships in that season of life, I think it definitely looks different than it does now. Mainly because in high school, you're not as busy. I would hope you're not as busy as you are now. I don't know how busy you were in high school or college, but I am way busier now than I was then, I think. And so you don't necessarily have, I had really great friends in high school, and a few of them I'm still friends with to this day. We were in each other's weddings and things. But it's like the sleepovers. You have extended amounts of time with them. And as an adult, you don't really get that because you're not going to the same class. You're not doing a Friday night sleepover. And maybe you are. That's really fun if you are having an adult sleepover. But yeah, I think it's definitely different in each phase of life. And as an adult, especially as one who has moved a lot in the last 8 years, it's definitely harder. When you move to a new place, it's just trying to get your bearings and try to feel out because in Virginia where we made friends pretty quickly, but also just dove right in and didn't really know who we were getting involved with in a sense, and probably would go back and remake some of those decisions based on events that had transpired when we were there. And there's also just a different dynamic when you're making friends as a minister and a minister's wife. There's just a different, much different dynamic than just hey, Blaine, want to be friends, when that friend is also a church member / someone who depends on you for their spiritual guidance. That's difficult. So yeah, that's kind of a look into how I think friendships transpired for me. I don't know about you, Blaine, if yours were the same.
Yeah, no, very, very similar. I mean, in high school, it was proximity. I mean, we were in the same high school. All my friends were in the same, not even classes, but we all went to high school together. It's not like it was a huge, huge school. And then, of course, I had church friends that I was super involved with our youth group, so, like, I had friends there, and even moving into college, like, it was the proximity thing and being involved in the same things, you know, definitely lost some friends, not, like, traumatically or anything, but it was,
Mhm.
just moving to college, like, we weren't together all the time anymore. Maybe they went to a
Yeah.
different college or they weren't full-time at college, but then also just kinda your priorities have to shift in college because even if you are in, like, the party scene, like, for a lot of people that I was friends with, like, we all kinda had to have jobs too, and so,
Yeah.
um, you have other things to do outside of college and class and having fun together, so, those are, you know and I also bring up work too because I did make friends with the people that I worked with, and again,
Mhm.
goes back to that proximity, like, we were
Yeah, like, you're
together,
friends with
and
them at
so
work. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and so it was easy to make friends, and it was easy to be with people, we had shared interests. I think you mentioned that with, like, the theater and volleyball,
Yeah.
for me in high school, had a lot of friends who were cheerleaders because I was cheering. In college, um,
I can't
it
imagine
was
you
less
ever
of
cheering.
that and oh, I was captain of the cheer squad.
No
I don't
way.
even know. Oh,
Like,
yes,
that's so
ma'am.
funny. I love that.
I wouldn't say I
That's
was
great.
athletic, but, um very interesting time in my
Did
life.
you date the captain of the football team?
Oh, absolutely not. No, for sure no. I dated people you shouldn't date, but anyways,
Shouldn't date.
um, not good choices that I made in high school and college. Um, but yeah, like, so I feel like it was so easy to make friends growing up and even, like, in that season of life because it's like they're all there and we're all the same age and we're all in the same season, and I had a couple of friends that, had children as teenagers, and so that did definitely change our friendship because they had to
Yeah.
shift their priorities, and I understand that now. Um, and I've well, not always, but I've learned that, like, friendships are here for a season, a reason, and a lifetime. So
Yeah.
I think there's an inclination to be friends forever with the people you went to high school and college with, and
BFFLs. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and that may be true. But also people change and we
Yeah.
mature and grow up, and they're still like my maid of honor. I haven't seen her in forever and ever and ever,
That's
but we're still friends. Like, that relationship is not severed. I would still
yeah.
talk to her or text, like, I can talk to her or text her, but we just don't see each other. We live in different cities and we
Yeah.
both have families and there are other priorities. So anyways, um moving from, like, how would you make friends then? What are ways you touched on it, but, like,
Yeah.
now, like, how would you make new
Mm.
friends?
Yeah. I think when we lived in Virginia, I was pretty lonely, mainly because being a pastor's wife of the only type of church that my husband
Mhm.
led in our town, like, we were the pastor and pastor's wife in Scottsville.
Yeah.
Um, and that was just isolating in and of itself, and, one time I went to the park with the kids, and this, mom that I had seen there a few times, we just, like, struck up a conversation, ended up she was also a believer, and she had 3 kids, and, she invited us to start coming to, like, her church's community group, which was led by her parents, and it just led to, like, really fruitful relationships, like, just by talking to someone at the park.
Mm.
And so, like, if you're like me, because I kinda get in my shell when I'm around other moms. I don't wanna be insecure, but I am. And so, I will kinda shy back and just not participate, but I've learned that in order to make something different of your situation of loneliness, you have to do something about it.
Yeah.
And so I was super isolated. Cody was never home. I was with 2 babies, under the age of 18 months old and trying to just make it in life. And, it was a really sweet season of learning basically relearning how to make friends.
Yeah.
And now that we've moved again, it's really all about inserting yourself into situations where fruitful friendships can happen.
Yep.
So whether that be, you join a small group at your church or you just start going to a church, someone there is going to say hi to you. And if they don't, it's the wrong church. You shouldn't go there if someone doesn't say
Yep.
hi to you when you walk in the door. Or just like I said, going to the park and just chatting up a conversation. And if anyone is turned off by that, they're not meant to be your friend.
They're not your
They're
people.
probably not a fruitful friend.
No.
But even like things like volunteering, if you have time for it in your busy schedule, like even say like, for example, you attend a church and you volunteer in the nursery and say another mom also volunteers in the nursery. Like that's just a great way to like meet someone new. And my husband is so good about just he's like best friends with every stranger that's out there. There's no such thing as stranger danger with Cody Stewart. And so he can just literally walk up to anybody and strike up a conversation. And I've tried to embody that over the last few years. Just be bold and be brave and just do it. Like we tell our kids to do that all the time. But yeah, and I'll stop talking after I mention this, but even the friendships I've made at work, like Blaine and I are good friends, and I have some other friends that we've taken time and like visited each other like a few times, and we're all getting together in a few weeks to like meet up in person, which is super exciting. We're all going to be like fish out of water, not knowing what to do, trying to figure out how tall we all are.
I'm so excited.
Can't wait. And so yeah, it's possible to make lasting friendships or just fruitful friendships for a season without any pressure of it being like, are they going to be my friend for forever?
Forever. Yeah.
Because really the only friend you'll have forever is Jesus.
Literally. I mean, he's the only person you can count on.
Yeah.
To not betray you or hurt you.
Yeah, that's it. Blaine, what about you? I know you mentioned in your notes, you mentioned a book you read that was kind of helpful.
I co-sign on everything Lakin said. I think there's a tendency for people who are not sure about church or who just want to go and leave to think that, oh, they just want me to volunteer because they need help. But like that literally leads to community and friendships and growth. And
no one can survive without like I will die on.
I mean, the antidote to community is not isolation. Like the cure to loneliness is not just staying home and hoping someone will come to you. Like if you need a friend, go be that friend to someone else. I've had friendships come and go and have had to really make peace with that I'm not going to be friends with people forever, but like that's okay. I've only had a handful that have ended very dramatically. So like I thank God for his grace in that he took those friendships away. And like I mentioned, friendships are here for a season, a reason, and for a lifetime. And there are only like a few people that I have lifetime friendships with, that I know it doesn't matter where we live, where we go, what we do, what we say, we're going to be friends. Yeah. Like straight up. Yeah, we read this book. So I don't know if any of you have read any of Jenny Allen's stuff. She's she's one of my favorites, honestly.
Amazing. Yeah.
So she's got a book and a corresponding Bible study. And some of the girls at my church, I knew, I was like, I can't be the one to put this small group on. Like, I am serving our church in other ways, and leading a small group cannot be that right now in this season. And so they were like, we're going to do Find Your People. And I was just like, whoa, pump the brakes. I ain't ready for this. Like, I was apprehensive because, I had lost friendships in the church in the past few years. And I was just like, "No, I'm not getting close to anybody else. I don't wanna get burned again."
Mm.
Um, but the study was so good talking about finding people to do life with. And, for me, my go-to is church, because we at least have one thing in common.
Yeah.
Um, and, I know that there are people that I haven't been able to trust in the church. Not like our church right now, but just because someone goes to church does not mean that they are Christ followers. So you do have
Yeah.
to be cautious. It's not just like a free for all, like, oh, I'm going to trust everyone and anyone because they go to church. No, I mean, I have really become guarded, but I really didn't want that because I love meeting new people and I enjoy volunteering in our community to meet new friends. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have a mom group in our community. I think they're church based, but like I would that's another avenue. But anyways, we went through that study and Jenny was like, community is the cure to loneliness and it's the pathway to healing, like sharing struggles with your friends and people that you can trust. Like it literally is a scientific, like it heals your neuro pathways. It connects them back to each other. So like as you are in community and you are with people and you find friends and you share what's going on and share what's hard and go there, like
Mm.
your brain is literally healing itself. It's just the
Yeah.
craziest, like neuro pathways are fascinating to me. There's a video you can go and find, but it's like, anyways, the connection. And so, you know, community is the cure for loneliness. So, anyways, her big 5 things that really with making friends made it click a little bit more. And I think I had unintentionally been evolving into this over the past year or two, but like proximity, which I mentioned, Lakin and I both mentioned throughout college and high school, like we're around each other in some way, whether it be physical or like
Yeah.
via work. But there's also transparency, like going to your friend and just being like, what you see is what you get. This is what I'm going through. It's hard. I'm just gonna be transparent. Like
Yeah.
just being able to trust someone enough to say that is huge. But that leads to connection. And so her next thing was accountability, like having friends that can hold you accountable. And I regret that I have not had that often in friendships. And it's so hard and painful to even think about someone holding you accountable for your sins. But like if we're going to emulate Christ and we're going to pursue holiness, accountability is part of it, like calling people out. But like I know we've talked about this before, but it's really like I'm only going to listen to someone who knows me. Like
Yeah. Oh, I know.
if you come to me, you better guns
Oh, you better.
blazing. You better know
I think
what you're
it's funny
talking
that you
about.
said that because we've both had that happen to us where, like, someone that's on
Mhm.
the periphery of our life inserts themselves and then
No,
tells us all the things they think we're doing wrong, and to me, that is not accountability, that is attack, and so you have to know
that
the difference
is.
between that,
Yes.
between
Yes. And
accountability and attack, yeah.
there's also like church discipline, but even in that, like the person, you're close to them, why
Mhm.
discipline has to happen. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I ain't gonna listen to no critics. Like, not happening. I will not listen to your criticism if I won't take your advice.
Yep.
So saw that one of my friends sent me that on Instagram reel the other day, and I was like, no, but it's true. Like,
It's
I
true.
will not listen to someone criticize me who I also would not take like their biblical wisdom and advice and know
Yeah.
that they are like actually spiritually
Actually,
mature
yeah.
and coming to me in love to say, hey, you need to check yourself.
Yeah.
Um, but that's a huge part of friendships that I think sometimes we want to sidestep. But and I mentioned it earlier. The next one was shared mission. So like that women's small group, like we're all in it because we're for the most part kingdom minded and we want to pursue Jesus. And then consistency, like
Yeah.
showing up.
Being
I
being a friend that
I'm
shows up.
I'm yeah. I have heard from multiple people, they're like, "I'm always the one that has to go first. I'm always the one that has to pursue them." And great, to an extent, great, like, you are being intentional, but, at the same time, like, you've got to have that wisdom and discernment to know, like,
Yeah.
I constantly have to go after them. Maybe this friendship
Big
needs a
season of
break.
friendships, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Um,
honestly, it's okay to, like, tell your friends you need a break. Like,
mhm.
if they're your true friends, they'll understand.
Yeah. Well, and I've talked about this with friends before, but I'm like, I can't be what you need in a friendship if what you're expecting is XYZ.
Yep.
That's because my priorities right now are my marriage, my kids, and my church. Now, you want to come alongside me and run the race with me in pursuit of some of those things? Great. Like, help me be my village, but like, I can't just go out to eat with you every night. That's not the
Yeah.
season of life that I'm in. If you're going to
Yeah.
expect that,
I'm not
like,
gonna
let's
text
get
back
coffee.
within 24 hours.
No.
Prob
Well, and like, even, I've got set times that I can even go get coffee because I have childcare and it's like, and I also work. But, having friends that understand that and are not needy to be like, well, if you can't go, out to eat with me twice a week, and if you can't text me every single day to check on me, then we can't be friends. I'm like, okay, well, then we can't.
You can't.
Um,
I have
it's okay to
very
let
few
those,
friends that I do that.
yeah, yeah. I know, I'm just like, yeah, when I was in college, I could do that any night of the week,
Yeah.
but priorities have shifted, but I do try to be intentional with the friendships that I do have to check in on them. I can't do that every single day, but if I think about them, I'm gonna text them and make sure that they're doing
Yeah.
okay. Um, but then also, like, um, I mentioned the shared mission. But I'm no longer part of friend groups where the foundation is, um, sin.
Like,
Um,
gossip and dissension and
yeah,
pitting people
like
against each other and just a
bitterness,
whine and gossip
competition.
group. Yeah.
Mhm. Like, I've
Mm.
been at those tables, and that's no longer where I want to sit,
Yeah.
and if that means I have to be lonely, it does, but I can say with confidence, by God's grace, He has blessed me immeasurably more than I could have asked or imagined in the friendship department with friends who I know are legit. They care
Yeah.
about me and my family, but they also know that I care about them, and we don't gossip together. We don't sit around and complain about our kids or our husbands. Like, it
Yeah.
is very much transparency, accountability, vulnerability, but just like, we're in this together. Like, we're
Yeah.
going to be friends. Tell me what's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah. Friendship looks so different as an adult than it did when you were younger. At least it should. If it doesn't, then
Hmm.
you might have some priority shifts. Um, but yeah, that doesn't mean that friendships can't happen and friendships can't be fruitful. And everyone needs community that is like-minded and open. And all of those 5 things that Jenny Allen shared in her book. So those were proximity, transparency, accountability, shared mission, and consistency.
Hmm.
Um, and those are just 5 traits that encompass good friendships in adulthood
Yeah.
and really friendships in general. So it doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
And
yeah, go ahead.
no, I think I was just gonna add, like, I Andrew would probably say the same. So Andrew, if you're listening to this, be quiet. Or he would probably say differently, but like, he thinks that I cut off people too quickly or like just discount them if there's a betrayal.
Mm,
But I'm like, I don't. It's just I'm gonna be a little bit more guarded next
yeah,
time. But also on the flip side of that, I'm like, I am growing and I want to spur others on to grow
mm,
and to know Jesus more. And if there are people who are not pursuing that, I'm just my priority is not gonna be there for that friendship.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm leaving you behind, but I'm like, we're on different paths
Yeah.
and,
And it's not like you're not going to witness to
got to
them.
really
Yeah.
pray for discernment, really. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So essentially what we're saying is find your people, find your tribe,
mhm.
stick with them, and just be brave and bold. Making friends as an adult is not easy. I have learned this the hard way, moving across the
Yeah.
country 3
Yeah.
times in 5 years to places we've never
Yeah.
been before.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not as hard as it looks. As someone who in high school would never have gone up to anyone who I didn't know, like just never ever. I have made
No.
friends in each of the places that we've moved and
Yeah.
made lasting friends. Like one of my friends from Texas, I literally talk to her every day.
Yeah.
And so those friendships exist. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of work to find them. So
Mhm.
we pray and hope that you find your people.
Yeah.
And if you need some people, slide into our DMs and we'll chat you
Yeah.
up. But we hope you guys have a great week. And yeah, just remember that you are more.
See ya.